Hey y'all, welcome back to For the Fans, where tonight we are going to recap the second episode of Survivor 41, where we saw a new twist unveiled, a blind side, and the third castaway sent packing. And tonight we are joined by special guest, former Island of the Idols castaway, Aaron Meredith. So if you are joining live with us, make sure you drop a comment, let us know your thoughts on last night's episode, any questions you might have for our special guest, and just your thoughts on how the season is going. Frank, Stan, Aaron, how are y'all tonight?
Doing good. Thank you. Thanks
Great.
for joining us.
Great. Another day.
Aaron, thank you for joining us. Thank you so much for the invite. We know that you're just as big of a Survivor fan as we are, so you get right into business.
I appreciate the invite. Appreciate the opportunity to chat with you guys.
So, Aaron, you can update everyone on what you've been doing over the last couple of years.
Oh, man. So, obviously, everybody knows COVID has changed everybody's life. Everybody. I'm not going to say I'm unique and I'm a special individual, but for me, what I did prior to COVID was fitness. I was a gym owner. I had a couple facilities, and it was thriving. I mean, my business was doing great. We had just opened a gym about a year prior to me departing for Survivor, and we were just turning the corner. Working on paying back the investors. And it was a really nice spot. And then obviously COVID hit and shut us down. And that was obviously that you don't write a business plan up and factor in a pandemic that can potentially cripple your business. So for us, I mean, we struggled. We tried to do the virtual thing. It just didn't fit our model, like what we did. And we're face to face. We needed people to experience. It was an experience. We sold an experience, not one that could be matched online. So we ended up making a difficult decision to shut our gyms down, which was awful because we invested a bunch of money, lost a bunch of money, and was sitting in a spot where I really didn't know what I was going to do. Buddy of mine reached out to me. He was like, dude, you're really good at sales. I know you can sell fitness. The stuff I sell is a lot easier than fitness sales. You should try selling insurance. So I got started with my buddy selling life insurance a little over a year ago, and it's been a blessing in disguise. So financially, I'm in a position where I never thought I would ever be. And it's because of COVID. So, I'm always a glass half full guy, not half empty. And I just look at it as a situation where it just opened up a new possibility. It opened up new opportunities for me and my family to really just, take advantage of my abilities as a social person, as a sales guy, as somebody who has an ability to really just understand people, listen. And I don't really see myself as a salesman. I just kind of take an order. But it's for me, COVID I always look at the positive. So that's the positive that I came away from, obviously, amongst all the devastation and tragedies for people who've lost people and people's lives have been impacted. I try to find the positives. And that's really what I've been up to for the last couple of years is just shifting what I do. Bought a house, renovating the house. As you can see right now, it's messed
so much work.
Yeah, but so things are great.
That's great. All right, y'all. So, thoughts on last night's episode?
I liked it. We really jumped straight into the business. There was no intro, no music. It was just Brad on the beach freaking out.
Yeah, they started doing that. Like our season, they did like 3 quick flashback or flash forwards, and then they got into the episode. There's no recap. But yesterday it was just like, all right, here we go. It's Survivor. You guys got 45 minutes. We're gonna get every single minute and make sure that you're seeing the action, what's going on in the game. So I did like that for sure.
Yeah, it was just hit the ground running, like literally. With the first scene, which I thought was really comical but really interesting. The first scene was the Green Tribe, Ua and Brad with this kind of race to kind of get to the shelter, pull up poor man's Tony and listen in the bushes.
Yeah, he did a great job with Brad. I mean, he's one of those where, he's sitting in casting, going through casting like, yeah, this guy is on. Like, this is the guy that we're putting on. He's going to make great television. And yesterday showed it. I mean, would I do that and just dip out like that and run and make a scene? No. I mean, that's not me, my personality. But Brad, that's his personality. That's him being him. On our season, we had Nora. Nora is Nora. Like, you can't duplicate that in somebody. You're not going to find 100 Noras. And I think the same thing with Brad. You're not going to find 100 Brads. he's a special individual and definitely will make good television moving forward. I hope he stays in.
Yeah. So Frank and I have been on opposing sides from the cast reveal on Brad. So we got like a little $50 bet on old Brad here. So I'm like, come on, Brad.
I have 2 of them.
Brad, like, let's go, buddy. It's
You
time
think
for
he's
you.
going deep?
You know?
You think Brad's going deep, Kiley?
No, I think Brad's not going to make it to the merge. Frank said he will. So we bet $50.
I'm with Frank on that. I'm with Frank on that. And I would be confident enough to bet $50 that Brad will make the merge.
I think
I think they're setting Brad up for an inevitable boot.
He might be like the Nora.
I think we can.
He's not.
We can all agree. Like Brad has very much. He gives the vibes of an early boot. Just he does, okay. And the sporadicness, like Shan is sitting there, like, oh hell no, like this isn't it for me.
But at merge, when you have somebody, well, first of all, Brad's a physical guy. You know, it's you have to take into consideration. I haven't played the real thing, Aaron. You can attest to this, but like the physical elements do take a pretty big toll. And Brad being like one of the bigger guys in his tribe, like he's so erratic strategically that I don't mind sitting next to Brad in the final 3 if I get there because.
So yeah, I agree with you on that. Stan is he's neurotic, and I would be okay sitting next to him at final 3. But from a physicality standpoint, I think the game of Survivor is changing, where keeping people around for simple strength is kind of going to the wayside because of the unpredictableness. These guys don't know when they're going to swap. They don't know what twist Jeff's going to throw at them. Tomorrow they could be on completely different tribes. There's no predictability in Survivor anymore. So I think the notion of we got to keep the strong guys around to help them with challenges, I think that's going out the door. So you can't rely on that.
I think that's a great point, especially with the episode that we got last night. And so that'll be something interesting to come back around on. So do any of y'all think, like, is Brad Tony 2.0? You called him poor man's Tony, but is it in there?
No,
I just go ahead, Aaron.
No, Frank, go ahead. That's my
Stan said poor man's Tony. I referred to him as the Dollar General store version of Tony in the last show we just did because, yeah, he's trying to do things he's not built to do. Yeah, I want him to go far because I'm going to cash out. I'm going to make $100 off of it, but
I think I agree. I think that what I mentioned, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it got misconstrued. The poor man's Tony is the only thing was hiding behind the bushes that way. Nothing strategic about Brad. It's an insult to Tony.
Yeah.
When you use the goat's name, you got to make sure that you do it justice.
No, I know it's that hiding behind the bush, like was a poor man Tony behind the bush. Is the juxtaposition of Tony, the antithesis of Tony's game. Like
Tony might have been looking too hard. You're supposed to look at the ground and close your eyes.
Yeah, so I liked that point about him talking about, well, I'm a hunter, and like there's this instinct that animals have, like when you've got them in the crosshairs, that they can sense you looking at them. And I'm like, okay, so, I'm from Texas and I don't hunt, obviously, but my husband is a hunter. And this past week he was hunting and he sends me this 3-minute long video where this big ass buck is just sitting right below his stand, just munching on some grass. I was like, okay, Brad, we don't have the same kind of deer in Texas that you got in Wyoming because our deer don't have that instinct because this little thing was just sitting there waiting for the slide.
I think he might not have been talking about hunting. It might have been back in his stalking days when he was stalking women. Because I think they do that on the show You'll notice the guy with the hat on that show on Netflix, he will always be 10 feet away. She never sees him. But I do notice he's never staring right at her. He's kind of just looking off to the side. So I think Brad's onto something, but I don't think he was talking about hunting.
So one question I had, Aaron, is, okay, obviously we know that Brad made it into his little hideaway before Ricard and JD got to the well. But is there not anything that tips them off when there's a cameraman already there and he's zooming in on Brad in the bushes?
And I think playing the game the second time around, you pick up on the camera movements and the cameramen and where they are and when the positions that they're in and where they're panning and looking. But I think playing the game the first time, these guys are completely oblivious to what's going on from a camera and from a production standpoint. They won't realize it until they rewatch their season and say, "Oh my God!" Like it was tipped to me. It was given away. Production gave it away from where the camera was and where it panned and where it was zooming. But they're not paying attention to that. These guys are still like they're 5 days in. Like they don't even know what the hell's going on. Are they playing the game? Are they not playing? Where are they? They're hungry now. Like the hunger's starting to set in. So no, they're not paying attention to that. There's no way.
I heard that there might be that you can, and this is just complete hearsay, but there's a way to kind of figure out if you're kind of close to a hidden immunity idol or something through the cameraman.
Sure, absolutely. If you're out in your middle of nowhere and you're looking and the camera is on you and they're fixing and they're like focusing on you and they're there for a long time, you know you're hot. If they're looking at you and then they get a couple stills, a couple shots, and then they walk away, leave. Like you're not there.
They're not gonna miss a hidden immunity idol find. So I'm not gonna waste my time looking.
They would never leave you if you were hot on the trail. They would never leave you.
Never. And then I heard that Tyson actually was the best at this because Tyson would be best friends with the cameraman and but he would know their facial expressions because he would tell stories and know about his family and stuff. And then when he's close to an idol, they just become stoic and they kind of look for Tyson. I was like, the idol.
Yeah. No, you can pick up a lot of cues from the camera movements.
Use it to your advantage.
Mm-hmm.
So
Pete Morgan says he will not make the merge. And Brad will not make the merge, according to Pete. And
you're the swing vote. Stan, you're the swing vote. Where do you go?
I think he'll make the merge. I think I would use someone who has those final 3 slots unlocked.
So but let's look at the Green Tribe as a whole. So let's just break this down. They're down to 5 people. You got JD and Shan. They're obviously a very tight duo. And we had some speculation maybe on how the alliance was shaping up based off of the vote, but if Shan's telling the truth, then she's obviously super close with Ricard. So that leaves Brad or Jeannie for the first vote next time they go to tribal council. And I mean, there's a good chance that it's going to be Brad.
If they go to tribal council, so there's a big if. I'm looking at it from a editing standpoint. I just don't think that they're editing Brad as an immediate downfall. I feel like he's got some longevity in his edit right now and kind of the projection where he's going. I don't think that that Brad is set up for an immediate downfall. I don't see Brad as a winner. They're not editing him like a winner, but I don't think he's going tomorrow. They could.
Anyways, my Venmo is at Kiley. Anybody that wants to take me up, I will bet everybody $50. Just Venmo me my money whenever he gets booted soon. Okay, so anyways, from his little spy shack, Brad has determined that JD's demeanor has changed, and that's got to be because he must have an idol. Okay, this is y'all's boy.
So I think Brad is socially aware. First off, he realized that his name was written down on a parchment. He sees 2 guys going off and walking. He felt good with JD, but after that tribal, he didn't feel good. He also realized that JD was crazy. He was neurotic, running around, paranoid, and then all of a sudden he gets back and he's good. So in Brad's head, he's thinking, all of a sudden this guy does a complete 180. He's over this direction, neurotic, not knowing what's going on, and then all of a sudden he's good and comfortable. So he must have got something, and he wasn't wrong because JD got the extra vote. When he went to vote, he got the extra vote. So he came back. He's feeling good because he's got 2 votes in his pocket right now. So JD actually does have a very strong advantage, and Brad picked up on that.
Yeah, I agree.
So when he gets back to the shelter, Shan is like, oh no, if you will do that to them, you will for sure do that to me. And so Shan is going to take this opportunity to fill Ricard in on what JD did. And with Ricard being the other person that was in that conversation, Ricard is like, why are you trying to play the game now, Brad? What the hell?
Yeah. So, and again, there's value, right? So there's the logic that says Brad has to go. But then you keep these types of people around because you're thinking longevity at the end of the game. Like, who do I want to sit next to plead my case? Nora is a easy. You can associate like that game to Brad's game. She was kept around in the beginning just because she's seen as somebody I want to sit next to her. Like, I want to sit next to Nora at the end. Like, I don't think that she's going to be able to plead her case and win. I think Brad has stake. He has value for other people if they're thinking long-term game, which they need to be. Like, you can't just go into Survivor, especially in 26 days. You have to be thinking, because it is a lot of luck to it. So you got to be able to think down the road. Brad is somebody that I would want to sit next to at the end, and I'm thinking that these people are thinking the same thing. It's not right now or shown, but that's it's going to be discussed.
I think Pastor Chantel is going to control everything that happens on that tribe. And if she wants Brad to go, Brad's going to go. If she wants JD to go, he'll go. If she wants Jeannie to go, Jeannie's gone. And I think Brad, if it's me, I think she's smart enough to see Brad as a physical asset on the tribe. When they come back and they see yellow, we'll talk about that later. But the tribe that comes back that they see, they're going to be like, okay, I don't want to look anything like that. And I think Brad's golden.
Sure. Absolutely.
Yeah, and I
we'll see. TBD.
Then they go for my girl Jeannie.
Yeah, there's definitely a chance.
She's just sitting there, not doing anything from what we're seeing at home.
That's the edit, though.
What we're seeing, right?
What we're seeing, like how Erica has not had a confessional in like 2.5 hours.
Well, Blue's not playing. They're not playing Survivor yet.
He was invisible last episode.
So we don't get anything. We don't get anything.
That's a good thing. Erica, that's a good thing. That's a good thing. I think she's got longevity.
Yeah, we don't get anything else from UA. This, nothing else from their camp because obviously they're not going to go tribal council. So let's talk about the Luvu Tribe. And what do y'all think about Nasir? So, in the premiere episode, we saw that they were kind of like, oh, Nasir, you should not have told on Danny and Deshawn like that. And we were a little bit worried about it. And we were all very, very pro Nasir pregame. So I am excited to see him using his skills to better his position. So what do we think about the turnaround? I personally love it. I think I tweeted the other day or yesterday, I'm like, Nasir is the international representation of a Survivor fan. I think I spoke about this last time, and I think I talked to Aaron a little bit about this in Minnesota. Like, I watched Survivor when I was 12 years old in the Philippines. I am Nasir, like homeboy, and you actually, Aaron, you mentioned there's a lot of Filipino Survivor fans out there, and this is some guy we somehow got into America, got a passport, got to play Survivor, but that's all we look up to. Imagine the number of people in India, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, Asia, in Philippines, and a bunch of people watch Survivor all over. You're like, Nasir's my guy. So he's someone that I'm like, wow, he's actually playing Survivor. And the funny thing is, he said one thing, because in the Philippines where I'm from, it's all about rice and coconut. Like, I can live off rice and coconut, no issues. He's like, yeah, back at home in Sri Lanka, as long as we have rice and coconut, we're good. Because in the developing countries, that's what they do. So Survivor to him is kind of like, all right, Deshawn, you don't know how to make a fire, boy. Let me just spark it up like how we used to do it back home. So it's so cool. I don't know where Nasir's arc's heading to. I don't know game-wise if he's just someone who a little erratic gameplay-wise, really likable. What's gonna happen to him? But the fact that he's on this season amidst a lot of people of color and is iconic because he is that immigrant, which we haven't really had. Karishma last season was the first Indian American. He's the first brown person from Asia that played, Yeah,
I think he connects to everyone. I think he also, Aaron, you said you look at things half full. I think he does too. Like you were saying, Stan, he doesn't need a lot. If he's got rice and coconut, he's happy and he's living his dream. So I think The fans are going to love him. I think he's going to be one of those iconic characters. I think his downfall is really going to be in the merge when they're like, man, everyone likes Nasir. No one's got anything bad to say about this guy. We can't let him go far. I think that's going to be his Achilles heel.
If he is sharing the story that we got to see a glimpse of yesterday, like that's also going to put a target on him. But like his story and like, them showing the flashbacks of like, his home in Sri Lanka. And I mean, I got emotional, and I mean, like, I am not a crier, but I actually got a little choked up. Like, he's the definition of the American dream. I mean, he came to America and, he's found success, and now he's on this game show. Like, it is just an incredible story. And so I think that one thing Survivor is absolutely killing it on this season is these little flashbacks that they're doing where we're getting, real life personal things about them that are really helping you connect with these people. And definitely Nasir's, like I feel Nasir and Tiffany, they both have these incredible stories that, they're sharing them with people could make them threats also, because wow.
I think they've done a great job, and it's not just those two. I would say 74% of the cast, they've created it and done it and edited it, so they're rootable. Like, you want to root for these people, which is awesome. Like, that's what Survivor is about. That's why we go on the show. That's what nobody wants to go on and be depicted negatively. Nobody wants to go on and have that edit that everybody in America just hates them because all the negatives that they did out there were highlighted. They're doing a great job in every single person, and I think based off of the way that the edit is going, they're going to take the time to make sure each person gets an opportunity to share their story, which for me, I'm happy that Survivor decided to do that this season. It's incredible because it really makes it easy to root for these people, right? You don't have to go fishing. It's like, I can relate with this person. I can relate with that person. This person, oh my God, when they get voted out, you're just upset, right?
Yeah.
Like,
I think CBS looked at the popularity of these international survivors and saw how they edit and was like, we need to do that. Now I wish they would just take the formatting of Australian Survivor and do more than one day. Like, Australian Survivor has a couple episodes a week, and I think that's what we need. Maybe then we can get an intro. We don't have to jump straight into the game. We get the highlight episodes to see the inside of the player back home. I think we're close, CBS. I think let's get that second episode a week.
Absolutely. But I think the B-roll footage. Like you guys want to see the B-roll footage. I mean, because there are fun things that happen out there that maybe don't mean anything for the gameplay, but it's entertaining television, right? You miss that.
But I mean, is it something that CBS has a problem with? Because, we've just wrapped up a Big Brother season where, we have them for 90 days, and I don't feel like we learned the stories of the people in the Big Brother house like we have learned the stories of the Survivor players in 2 weeks.
Absolutely.
Like, I feel like I know some of the Survivor players better than I know the, members of the
Take one of their nights and give it to Survivor.
Yeah, like Survivor. I mean, Big Brother was on 3 nights a week, and they don't even tell anything like about the struggles of the people in the cookout until the last week of the season. Like, it makes no sense. So I feel like Survivor is much more on track with, they're getting there.
I love
it. Yeah, and that's what makes, like, even the best movies are the movies that connect you to the characters, so you can feel what they're feeling, put yourself in their shoes. That's what makes movies great, and I think that's what makes Survivor great too, and these reality shows, when you can really connect and relate.
Absolutely.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I did have one thing to say about Nasir. I think Nasir was saved by time. I think he was saved by not going to tribal council. Mm-hmm. I feel as though him doing that put a huge target on his back, because I feel like Deshawn and Danny were probably in better graces with the tribe than Nasir was. Mm-hmm. So I think, unfortunately, Nasir would have went home if they went to tribal first, but that's the benefit of winning, right? So when you talk about not winning challenges, you don't win, or you win, you don't go to tribal, you have time to build bonds.
Correct.
You have time to connect with these people. And there's so much power in not going to tribal. It really is.
Do you think it helps Nasir that this season is harder, where you might lose your flint and your fire, you don't have rice? Do you think that makes him even more valuable, and in a different season he might not have stuck around?
Absolutely. Yes. That combined with the fact that they haven't gone to tribal council for sure. Because
you're absolutely right.
Cement himself right now as a provider, and you want that person around because you don't know if you're going to lose your food, Flint. You don't know what you're going to lose, especially these guys. So having him around is a huge asset.
I can see that. I can totally see that. But yeah, like I completely agree with you that first, I think Deshawn and Danny killed it on the sweat challenge. And, you know, when Nasir tried to turn that around, if they didn't win, I think he would have been gone first, unfortunately. But, you know, I agree with Aaron. Like, if you win challenges,
you don't go.
You're going through. You don't go home. Like,
you know, maybe Nasir is going to have the Nick Wilson route where, hey, you know, like if old Pat hadn't got injured on the boat, you know, it's up in the air. Maybe Nick would have been the first boot, but, you know, they end up not going to tribal council and the rest is history. And so, you know, maybe this plays in Nasir's favor also. That's pretty much all that we got from the Luvu Tribe. As much as we got Danny in episode 1, he was purple in this episode. That's okay. Still rooting for you, nice. Danny.
It's a good invisible episode.
Go Cowboys, go Tigers. Okay, moving on. The Yasa Tribe. Wow, there's so much to dig in here. So it starts off with this scene of Xander and Liana, and they are talking, and Xander's like, where is everyone? Like, ooh, you don't ever want to be the one that is sitting there with nothing going on because, like he said, people are off talking. They're looking for advantages. And if you're just hanging around, you better get your ass out there and do something. So he's like, maybe we should go look for them. So Liana goes to look for the people. Xander goes to look for an advantage. So what do we think about this advantage that he ends up finding, the beware advantage?
I want to know what you guys would do because I know exactly what I would do if I'm Xander.
I mean, the fact that the fact that Xander like had the insight to do that is great gameplay. Where he went wrong is giving up the knowledge. Like knowledge in this game is power, right? He literally what he did is said, "Here, Evie, in Leani, was that her name, right?
Liana.
Here is all the power that I had, and I want you guys to have it."
Voce and Evie. So Xander was working with Voce and Evie.
Right, that's right. Voce and Evie, exactly. So he told Evie, he told Voce, and he basically just gave away everything that he just worked so hard to get, which is just, it blows my mind and it's frustrating because I wouldn't have told a soul. Not day 5.
I mean, not only does he tell them about the beware advantage and give them the paper to read, but he also is like, and I got the extra vote too. Like, come on, dude. Like, just save something. It's so frustrating.
Yeah, I do think some amount of transparency in the game with certain people do create trust and give you some social capital. But if that was me and I find something in the woods that says there's a high risk, high reward here, I'm going to put it back. I'm going to go get Stan and be like, let's go look around this tree, Stan. Stan's going to find it. He's going to open it, and then I have knowledge of what's happening. I don't have any risk. I get to partake in the reward, possibly can help move me and him forward in the game. That's kind of the approach I would have done. I didn't know if you guys maybe thought that would be a good smart move.
Obviously, hindsight's 20/20. I mean, knowing the advantage that he has, I wouldn't wanted to do that. And I had thought, like, maybe down the road, if you were in a really good spot in your tribe, to paint a target on somebody else, to potentially do that, to maybe hurt their game, or if it helped their game, at least you would have knowledge that they have something potentially. But me personally, I probably would have went for it. I would have took it, and if I would have got that, I absolutely would have told nobody. Like absolutely. That in this game, you have to understand that every bit of information that you give out, you're giving a small piece of power away. You want to be the person that people are coming to, giving you information, because if you're in that spot, you're in the most powerful position in the game. Like you are, straight up.
So, Season 42, you're there. You find it in the woods, and you got in the back of your mind, if I don't fulfill whatever this says, I don't get a vote anymore. Now that you know about it, do you think they can use this advantage again, or is the no vote thing going to scare everyone away from this?
No. I don't think it matters what type of punishment you could put on it. There's still going to be someone that's going to pick it up. Like, I can definitely navigate through this. I'm going to take it. just depending on where your position is in the tribe. Like,
I
hey, I think I'm in a good enough spot. I'm going to just snatch this up.
They can change up the advantage as well. Like they can make it different.
Mhm.
So I don't think that's going away. I like it. I like it, and I think it's here to stay.
They're reinventing it, I think. So I guess a segue to talk about Xander a little bit, because we kind of brushed him up a little bit as this kind of, he told his allies. I completely agree. His mistake right away was telling Voce and Evie, regardless of how close he is with them. I had Voce written down on my notes. Every single time he talks, he has this calming voice, and there's like this somehow like almost heroic music. Do you guys not?
That's in your head. That the heroic music that's in your head.
That's your soundtrack for Voce.
Not Voce, for
when
Xander.
you're talking
it's always like a positive music,
Xander.
not heroic, but like it's always like the up tony like thingy. It's not like the sinister like music. I don't know.
When you're talking about like a calm, soothing voice, I thought you were gonna say Xander, because like Xander should Xander should like read books to put people to bed, because his
That's
voice
what Stan meant.
so
He said
calm.
Voce.
Oh, sorry.
I'm
so sorry. Let me re-say that. Xander. Let's bring up Xander and his soothing, calm voice.
Yes.
Xander, not Voce.
Okay.
No, he is. He's like, I found the idol, and it's like really important. I got the advantage, and it's like super soothing, and the music is like very calming too in the back. Like, isn't every Xander confessional like that?
Yes.
I think he's just a chill, laid back dude.
So, Aaron, do you want to hear?
I was gonna say, I want to take Xander's like personality and put him into a strategic person.
Correct. Like, so Aaron, do you know fun fact about Xander?
Yes, Jack's little.
Jack's little in his fraternity. So
I met Xander in New York. So
you met up with Xander in New York. That's awesome.
A little bit, yeah. He's just as chill in person.
He's just as chill as Jack.
I think Kiley summed it up perfectly. If you take that personality and you inject it in a strategic mind, that is the most dangerous player that you could ever create. Because prior to him giving information away, Xander could have coasted, like
didn't have to do anything
deep into this game, just because there's no reason to get rid of him. Why? For what?
He's he was gonna get targeted in the final 7, final 8, but then he already has an idol that he already knows. And interesting thing, Aaron, do you think 5 or 6 years later, because Xander's 20, if he played when he's 25, 26 with a little bit more life experience, a little bit more like with the same Xander chill, do you think he'd fare better strategically?
Potentially. Potentially. I mean, he just seems like a trusting person. Like he's just overly trusting and kind, and just a genuinely good human, right? Mm-hmm. That just sees the best in people. I mean, that might not be something that he grows out of. I don't know if that's just.
But just a little bit more. Let me tell Voce later.
Yeah, I don't
subtle strategic nuances of his game that make it subtle, because Xander doesn't have to. I think in the last week's podcast, I'm like, Xander does not have to do anything. He's clearly the strongest man in his tribe, good for challenges. He doesn't rub anyone off the wrong way. He's super like Evie trusts him and knows that he trusts her, and like they're like chilling. But
I think that's all changed though, because now he believes that butterflies are dead relatives saying hi. So. And he's got to believe that every tribal challenge, he's got to believe that.
Perfect segue. So let's talk about the secret phrases. I tweeted out like, okay, I love the idea of the advantage and that the other 3 having to, all 3 being found. But the phrases are very silly and Big Brother-ish to me, and I don't think that I love that part of it. But I had to watch it back today because, yes, he has to say it at every single challenge until all of them are found. So amazing. I'm like,
he did a great job at trying to cover, like, for something that weird, he delivered it fantastically.
Yeah. So please tell me, what is he going to say next week?
This is what I want to have happen. I want Jeff to put them all, like, so say 3 people, say me, Kiley, and Frank found it, right? And we get
Stan.
sorry, Sam, it's okay. But we get to the challenge, and then Jeff obviously has to prompt you. So Kiley, tell me a little bit about what's going on. But Jeff doesn't address any of us. How do we bring up our line unprompted? That's what I hope Jeff does that and doesn't prompt these guys to say something, and then all of a sudden they have to just be like, oh, like, because Jeff will ask you, like, hey, did anybody else have anything else to say? And if one of us has to say, I think butterflies are dead relatives, that's hilarious.
But do you think that if I was, so I'm the person that doesn't know about this, and I'm one of the 15 other people in the game, and I'm like, why? I mean, yes. I'm not an idiot. I'm not the smartest person in the world, but I'm also not an idiot. If someone repeats the same phrase again, I'm a huge Survivor fan. On the other tribe, be like,
yeah, like I might even give you 2 times of saying it. Like the first one, there was like dead silence, and then Danny was like, like, and everybody was like, okay, this is okay to laugh at.
Like someone like Danny would pick that up.
Yeah, maybe the second time, depending on how he's able to say this, if he's like, oh my gosh, I'm still so tired. Like, I just keep having these dreams about these butterflies. Like, I might give him 2 times, but if you say it a 3rd time, damn it, something's up.
I don't think he has to say anything. He might be able to wait until someone else says one of those lines, and then they can try it again. And then the 3rd person doesn't happen, they'll have to wait.
So here's the thing. If I was Xander in this moment, he knows what the other 2 tribe prompts are. If the other person, like if, let's say, Shan finds the idol, the advantage in green, she's going to know what the word phrases are, and she's gonna be like, I heard this before. Xander said this in yellow. And then, someone in blue, if Deshawn somehow finds it and sees, oh, this is like, so they will kind of prompt. So if I'm Xander here, I won't say it every episode. Yeah. What would be crazy if he says it every episode and forever associated with him, like Emily is with the makeup challenge with Jack and Emily.
Correct.
He'll have to get a butterfly tattoo after this season.
He kind of has to.
So someone did I was gonna say somebody did take a picture of his Twitter, and he's already in his description he's put butterfly enthusiast. So he's embracing it. That's the best you can do.
Absolutely. That's all you can do, right? You're on Survivor. But interestingly, another take on it is, if I was Xander, I'm on the bottom of my alliance, because I know Voce just went home, and if we lose this challenge, I'm gone. Can in the next immunity challenge, Xander be like, listen, guys, I have something to say. I found this advantage, and it's a triple idol. I scorch the earth and reveal it to everybody. Because if we lose, I'm going home anyway. And I don't have a vote. So in that event, they win, and the other 2 fight. And then he says, oh, there's an advantage here, and it's a triple idol. This is how it works. I'm going to say this phrase, and if whoever finds it, repeats it, whatever, just expose ourselves. I have an idol. You're not going home anyway, and you're not going. So just find it. Make a big scene in a challenge. Sounds super crazy. I wouldn't do it. Frank probably would do it, something like that. I would never do something like that.
But person 2 and person 3 have to then also reveal that they have idols. So I'd be like, oh, fuck this guy. I cannot believe he just did this.
I mean,
I would be so mad. I would be so fucking mad.
Sam is in a bad spot right now. He's in a really, really, really bad spot.
So unless he can make merge, because that's the only time he gets his vote back, is if once he makes it to merge, or if they find the idols. And I don't know if there's a swap, then what happens? Like, how does that work? I don't think we're going to get a swap, though, this season. I think it'll be a season. I think Jeff's going to keep us on our toes, and we're never really going to be able to predict the direction the format goes.
Interesting take.
Yeah.
All right, so let's move into the immunity challenge, the famous Survivor obstacle course. Aaron, did you get to compete in something like this? I can't remember.
No. This was no. So the immunity challenge, it had the swimming legs.
Well,
they had one person swim down, get in the buoy, and then everyone else did the net, and then a balance beam, and then swam to the.
We had something similar like that, where you had to balance and walk, and one person had to go and get a key, and you had to balance, the weight, and then the other person, you had to walk on the other side. Yeah, something similar. Yeah, Elizabeth was our swimmer. She swam down, got the key, unlocked the key for the puzzle.
That must be a huge advantage having a Olympian swimmer on
Yeah, but I
team.
mean, so Janet was a lifeguard, and she was like the chief lifeguard. So she did a pretty good job. Obviously Elizabeth smoked her, but she did a pretty good job keeping up with her. It didn't like make the difference for the challenge. The challenges always come down to the puzzle.
The puzzles anyway. Yep, exactly.
Like physical stuff. If you can't do a puzzle, I don't care how physically strong you are. That's the ultimate equalizer.
Unless Tiffany's on your tribe.
So, I mean, I don't think there's anything of note to really talk about with the other tribes. Like, Danny runs over that net like he's at the NFL Combine. I mean, like 2 steps, he's across the net. The Luvu Tribe is just ridiculously strong. UA, they're hanging in there. Like they're not great, but they're not bad. But then we've got this disaster over here. This Yellow Tribe. Dr. Stan, you still repping them.
Last time.
They're really, really bad. Okay?
I would have been losing my mind watching that happen. I played an 8-day live game. Stan got me hooked on it, and we had a challenge. God bless his heart. His name was Aaron also. He was just so bad that it was awkward and hard to watch. And I remember sitting there. I'm pretty good at keeping composed when I'm angry and upset. I do it all the time at work. But my face was bright red. I was yelling. I was angry. I think I looked at the camera after the challenge when we were leaving. I said, Aaron's dead. And I think he was right there. I didn't care. I was like, this guy's going home. So I could only imagine how those people are feeling on that puzzle, watching Tiffany do whatever she was doing. It was scraping her, poor thing, but that was hard.
Yeah, we had in our season Karishma. I don't know if you remember the Applebee's challenge where she was in the sand and she couldn't crawl.
I do remember the Applebee's challenge because Karishma likes Applebee's.
It was essentially the same thing, right? I mean, you got somebody that just can't physically get through the challenge. It just now you can't even get to the puzzle, right? But you make that choice. You make that choice when you decide to keep Tiff around and get rid of Oche.
Yeah.
That's ultimately where that tribe basically said we're okay with losing, which it's not to me it's not bad because if you think about the Brains tribe back with Cass and Spencer and Tasha, they made it super deep. You think back about the Denise and Malcolm, they made it super deep. There's power in being that I'm like a free agent, right? I don't have the numbers. It's 3 tribes, right? You're the little guy, and then there's 2 big behemoths. Each one are going to be jockeying to bring you into their group. So for me, it's not a bad thing if you're losing with 3 tribes. It really isn't. So these guys can keep taking L's, and once they get to a point where they swap or they merge, they're going to be in a really, really strong spot.
You don't think that the other tribes are going to look at that and be like, that's an all-girl alliance, 100%. I'm terrified of that. Because that's what I would look at that tribe, seeing the pecking order that's happening over there. I'm thinking, okay, that's an all-girl thing. Let's squash that. I don't want to lose my girls that are in my alliance.
You can play up that card. I just don't know that card goes too far. And they might try to edit it like a girls' alliance. Like they did that with our season, like a girls' alliance. There's no girls' alliance. You obviously, you see me counting and calling it out. There was no concern there about a girls' alliance. I don't know that you necessarily feel gender bias when it comes to alliances per se. I would be more concerned about who's walking off with who consistently, because sometimes you don't see that from the editing standpoint. You don't know who's paired up. That's who these people are looking at. They're saying, well, JD is always with so-and-so, literally always with this person. They're definitely together. That just might be an editing thing, right?
So on the island, people aren't really good at keeping those relationships. Like if you're working with Stan, you're going to hang out with him every day?
Absolutely. Especially the deeper that you get in the game, you know exactly who's voting with who. Like Lauren.
Do you think in a shorter game that we might see people distance themselves from their allies a little?
No, I don't think so. It's impossible because you got to think about this, guys. It's 24 hours out there, right? I'm out there for 24 hours. You're unaccounted for, 3 days worth of footage. You don't see it as a viewer. Mm-hmm. These people are literally living together all day long. So you're naturally going to gravitate and just shoot the shit with somebody who you like. Right? I'm not going to sit there and chum it up with, Karishma. That we just don't vibe. So that's not going to be a person that I'm going to be seeing hanging out with. But me and Missy, we didn't just talk strategy. We talked about life, right? Me and Elizabeth just didn't talk about. We talked about life. So when you see that, right, who's voting together. It's very, very clear because you've got that full 24 hours. It's impossible to hide that.
Yeah.
So with
it'd be time. I think my only thing about taking L's from the Yellow Tribe, and which is the last time I'm wearing yellow this season, I had to support Dr. Voce all the way through. But the thing is, it's good to lose challenges if you're in control. Like Evie it's in her best interest to lose as many challenges as she can because she knows she has a 2 with Liana. So if it's down to 2, it's her and Liana with Tiffany at 3, Xander at 4, and Voce at 5. She, it's in their best interest to lose as many, or doesn't care about winning, or if Xander goes home. And Xander is going to be someone who I would probably have to worry with at the end. The problem is if you're sitting on the other end of the spectrum of a losing tribe and you're the one kind of going home, like Xander's neck, whatever what happens, he's on the chopping block.
I think if Evie's smart, she doesn't get rid of Xander, and I don't, because he's powerless, and I think he's still loyal. Yeah, because Tiffany is showing herself as a bad ally because she's wanting to flip things last minute, not trusting Evie's decision making and saying that Xander was a smart one to go, and now Xander has no vote. He's kind of at her mercy. And his comments at the end of that tribal council made me think that he wasn't blindsided by that. He knew. So I feel like he might be tight with her.
Yep. So I bet you Evie, if she's smart, I bet you Evie, and it wasn't shown, went to Xander and said, "Hey, it's Voce." Voce's going home.
I thought that he definitely knew too.
And Xander.
And I mean, one thing I was going to say is there also has to be an advantage to the fact that if Yellow continues to go to tribal councils and there is eventually a swap or they can make it to the merge, they're tried and they're tested. They know that they're going to vote together. Whereas you have Luvu over here, they're a great, strong tribe, but we've never had to put our money where our mouth is. And so, you've got that is, you don't have those relationships tested like you do when you go to multiple tribal councils. So
I think it's good when there's 3 tribes. When you have 2 tribes, it's incredibly difficult.
Yeah.
Because if you're on the other tribe that keeps losing, you're in a really bad spot. It's easy to get pagonged in that situation. But with 3 tribes, to me, I love the 3 tribe dynamic better than the 2 tribe dynamic, because the second that one tribe keeps losing, then you already know who's going to be at the end, right? You know that. Most of the time in Survivor, the other tribe that has the numbers is the tribe that's going to make it deep in the game.
Yeah, I was pagonged. It sucks.
Fans versus favorites versus famous, Aaron.
Yeah, it sucks. It sucks. It sucks to be part of. It's just not fun.
All right. So after Luvu wins, Jeff tells them, y'all have a decision to make. You have to send one person from the Yellow Tribe on a journey. Okay. I wish they would give this a name. So we're going to call it Advantage Island because that's what it is. So you must send one person and then you have to decide another person. And Deshawn volunteers. So, Aaron, y'all had Island of the Idols, obviously, on your season, and you never got to visit. So what would you have done in Deshawn's position?
I would have picked somebody who I looked across and saw that I thought I could have formed a relationship with, and basically extended an olive branch, because it's an opportunity for you to mingle with somebody who you either won't meet till the merge or swap. So that's how I would have looked at it. I would have just basically sized up my the tribe across the way and said, I want to talk to this person because I'm getting good vibes from this person, because you catch eyes when you're across the map after you lose, and you get head nods and bobs and thumbs ups, and you get that, right? So you always want to try to, keep an eye on that. So maybe Evie or Deshawn saw something in Evie that he liked, and maybe she smiled at him, maybe she winked at him or gave him a thumbs up, or, keep trying or whatever, good job. And he basically saw it as an opportunity to make a relationship with Evie.
Yeah. I really think that the fact Jeff has said that the tribes are going to stay small all season, that I really do think that we're not going to see a swap.
nervous.
I think that we could get a Pagonging and, you know, somebody, you know, there may not be a lot of intermingling until they get to the merge, and the only way that they're going to get it is through, you know, these journeys that they're taking.
I think they could up the amount of people they send to the summit to intermingle people more. I said earlier, I don't think there's going to be a swap. I think one tribe could end up being decimated, where it like gets down to 2 people. They maybe have to do fire like Bobby John and Stephanie, or they get down to 2 people and they're like, okay, you guys reach in a bag, you pull out the tribe buff. That's the tribe you're on. I think it's going to be very interesting to see.
It's going to be very grassroots, but not.
Yeah.
You know,
I know there's going to be several times this season where I predict something and I'm completely wrong, so I can't wait to watch that back.
So Rick Devins had a good take on it. Let me read a tweet. Evie was terrific on the latest Survivor, but Deshawn got the vote and the info without spilling the beans. Really
yes.
impressive.
Okay. Yep. Okay. Let's just get into it. So Evie and Deshawn, they take their hike up to the summit, and once again we get a flashback and we get more in depth about another player, which once again I'm loving. Like, I love that we got to know more about Deshawn, and you know, I did not know that he was you know, in school to become a doctor. Did we know that?
I think he put it on his profile.
In his bio?
I think he was on a podiatry student or something like that, like a doctor of podiatry. So
yeah, I missed this completely. So this was brand new.
He didn't get any episode 1. Like,
yeah. So you know, I think it's cool just once again to get more background and connect yourself more with them. But they get to the summit and Evie is like spilling the beans. And from an aspect, like, I like the idea of, you know, I'm not giving out my information, but I am giving him information of other people. But once again, you know, going back to what you said, Aaron, where every time you give information, you're giving away power. And that's something that you knew that they didn't know. And so, you know, you've made a couple hour hike with somebody, like, and you've literally given all of your game information away.
Yeah, and it's kind of like what you said earlier about Sean being like, well, if Brad will do that to him, he'll do it to me. That's what I'm thinking. If I just met you, the whole vote thing is awesome that you want to do for me, but spilling all your alliances, like information and your tribe stuff, I wouldn't really want to think long-term game with that person, because they're going to burn me at some point.
Blue's going to burn. That's going to be repeated to Blue for sure.
And I wish, instead of her saying, hey, here's a vote, I wish she would have been like, hey, I want to work with you. If we can come back here, I will give you a vote. But right now, I'm on the bottom of my alliance, and I need this extra vote. And she could have got that extra vote, made him think that it turned things on her tribe, and that's how she got David out. Like, there's so much more. I think she's playing really hard, but I wish she'd take a step back, breathe for a minute, and then I think she'd come to the right answer if she thought long enough and hard enough about it. But maybe the lack of rice and food is wearing on their brains.
I will, you know, as somebody who played the game, I'll tell you right now, it is so much easier to Monday morning quarterback than it is to make split-the-second decisions out there. I'm going to tell you right now, it is nearly impossible to play a perfect game and to be so sharp with your cognitive functioning. They're 5 days in and they haven't eaten anything. Like, they're hurting. That trek up that mountain just absolutely decimates you. It's brutal. I couldn't imagine that. So it's impossible to sit back and obviously, like, playing it. Like, now I'm a little bit I'm lighter on the edit, because you have to have that level of sympathy playing the game, because you're not that sharp. It's so much easier to sit here and like criticize and you know, we have information that they might not have and to second guess. So I think Evie's playing a great game. I think she's super strategic, but I do believe that she might be playing ahead of herself and biting off a little bit too much right now, which could come back to bite her. Who knows? We'll see.
She's playing too hard.
I think she's playing too hard right now.
Too hard, too fast. Compare that game with Sean's game. Like, Shan's game is like, you know, she's playing. You can tell
sprinkling it on
while she's playing, but she's not like putting it in everyone's faces that she's playing. You know, like, the other person that I think is, in blue that didn't really get any screen time this episode, that I think is doing a good job is Danny. Like he was invisible this episode, but he knows exactly. He's like, I'm a football player. No one's gonna give me $1 million if they know that. And actually, the funny thing is, I wrote down here that Aaron, Danny reminds me a lot of you. When you played, you were kind of big super fan, but you're like the biggest guy out there. And so, like, how do you navigate? My question is, how would Danny be successful in a season like this? Do you think?
No, I think he did it. He did what he did. Yeah, I played football at LSU as a walk-on. I don't know that he was a walk-on. I think he's a scholarship player. But say I'm a walk-on at LSU, I squashed that. It's over. We're not going to talk about me playing football anymore. I'm a has-been, right? Like, he killed that pretty quickly. And I think Danny McCray is not a high-profile enough football player because, they play with a mask on, so you don't see their face, which I don't think anybody's going to call him out. It's not like Cliff Robinson playing, being or John Rock, like, I know you, right? Like,
no one's got a poster in their room.
Nobody's going to know Danny McCray. So I think he's going to be able to hide that NFL thing, which he's just another guy out there playing. That's what he is. So, yeah, I think he's got some longevity for sure.
Absolutely. We haven't had a story yet. I think he got the first confessional of the season, and then he kind of, like, other than the triple, that Xander and JD thing in episode 1, he kind of disappeared.
Yeah.
So where are you guys on Sydney? Right? You guys haven't really talked too much about her.
Okay, so preseason, I was like, oh, this girl, she's going to be too much, but I kind of love her. She's been Frank's in her shaking his head. What do you know? He disagrees with me. Okay. So I think in her confessionals, she's been very personable. She seems strong in the challenges. I think she's getting along with everybody. Like, you've seen her have the relationship with Danny and Deshawn. We saw her like, oh, hey, Nasir, he's very good for our tribe. So I think she's in a good position, and I'm kind of feeling her.
She's a narrator of her tribe, I think. I think a couple of things I noticed from her confessional. She's definitely smart. She's a law student. You have to be a little sharp to go to law school, but no one knows that. And also, she's like, I think she mentioned like something about Daddy's credit card in round 1, and how she traveled to like 45 different countries.
Yeah.
I hope she's being set up as the villain of the season. I really do, because I think she could be a rootable villain. I'm hoping that that's the case because she hasn't gotten too much. I mean, it wasn't extremely positive. It was just kind of run of the mill, basic. But to me, she does have a little devilish side. Like she's capable of slitting people's throats and doing it in a really compelling and extreme way. So I'm hoping that's the Siggy that we get to see down the road.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that.
I think she's all bark and no bite. Yeah. I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah,
but that's my take on her. I'm curious to see who she aligns with and if she's willing to make big moves. Like, I personally see her as someone that I think she could talk a big game, but I think she'll go deep in the game with someone like Danny, which is not something that you should do. You're going to have, if she's going to win, she's going to have to be a villain, but I'm not buying that she can actually pull that trigger.
Maybe, every single season they find the pretty girl and they're like, oh, it's Parvati 2.0. But like, maybe this is it, y'all. And maybe Danny is her James. And
she's not getting that edit though. She's not getting that edit right now.
I think it's the other way around. I think Danny's appearing to be the one that people are going to misconstrue as just being a complete jock, but he actually knows the game and a lot better than he puts on. And that's what people are gonna, mistake.
Yeah, he seems charming too. Like he seems like the whole package.
No, I'm being a little facetious there because y'all already know that I'm Team Danny all the way. So
just again, another sidebar. They haven't gone to tribal council.
Yeah, just throwing it out there though that I'm going to reserve the right to say that maybe I see a little bit of potential in Sydney. Okay. All right. So back on to the Yasa Beach. Evie gets back. And this is where we're going to see Tiffany really spiraling.
That's why. So to me, what her reaction is why you can't vote with her, because she's emotional right now at day 5. You think that you're going to be able to rein that in day 20? Evie's out of her mind. Tiffany she's a bomb like waiting to go off right now.
Yes. And Liana had this if you look at Liana's face and her body language, Liana was like she's got to go. I think Liana, if Evie had not gotten to come back until Tribal Council, then Tiffany would have been voted out. Like, I think that Liana would have been like, yo, Evie, she was tripping. She's been saying some kind of crazy stuff. She has got to go. Like, give you a little whisper at Tribal Council and let's all write her name down. Because I think Liana had her fill of Tiffany and having to try to rein her in all day on the beach by herself.
If you watch Survivor, anybody who's paranoid like that is not somebody that you want to bring deep with you to the game. It's just that is like cardinal sin rule number 1. You do not hitch your wagon to that horse. Tiffany is one that you cut right now. Like, she made a mistake in keeping her around and getting rid of Voce. Like, that's where her one big mistake so far was keeping Tiffany around. That is not
100%. Because if you looked at it, she was in a tribe of 5, and she had all the power. If she votes Tiffany out, she's still got 3 people that trust her as probably their number 1.
Right.
One of them doesn't have a vote. She controls who goes the next round anyways.
Right.
Yeah. And her tribe's stronger.
Yeah. I am on board with not voting out Xander. So, like, if the only 2 options were Voce or Tiffany, you know what I mean? Like, I will sign away on her keeping Xander, because why? Yes, you kept the person in that has 2 advantages, but you kept in a person that has no vote. So, like, hey, we can always snipe him next round. You know what I mean?
Would you have voted Voce out, Kiley?
Oh my God, no, I would not have voted Voce out, because I am too competitive and I would not want to get my ass beat like that. And so I'd be like, okay, Tiffany, like, you're so sweet. We'll see you when we get back to America. Bye.
Yeah, it psychologically does something to you when you lose over and over and over. It affects you more ways than you would think, and I wouldn't want to feel like that.
I know from experience, guys. Yes, it sucks. When you lose the first 4 individual immunity challenges as a tribe, it sucks.
Yes, like, no, I would not have voted Voce out. Like, I can understand not wanting to get rid of Xander, but if you want to take it down to Voce or Tiffany, fine. But you should have gone with Tiffany. It doesn't make any sense to me to vote out Voce.
No.
But
yeah, and so I watch it, and obviously I want to give the benefit of the doubt to the player, because we see a small fraction of what's going on out there. But, like, the edit didn't make Tiffany seem unstable. She's unstable. Like, that's not an edit, right? Like, that's not, you can't edit that. That's somebody who's just having a tough time out there coping with everything that's going on. Right, and I'm sure Tiffany is a wonderful person and a great person, but there's a level of instability there that showcased that when I see that, it's over. Like, it's over. We can't play this game together. Because I mean, you can flip on me like that.
Yeah, Evie is literally like, I read the paper. Like, his idol is not activated. I know what the other phrases are. There's 100% no chance. Like, he's not faking this. Like, he does not have an idol, and he does not have a vote. And Tiffany still she cannot take this at face value.
No, she's struggling because her name came up, and she knows that her name is being thrown out there. And obviously, there's a level when you know your name's being thrown out there, you kind of flip a switch, right? Like, you will. But when she flipped her switch, it's flipped it on, and like
it all the way on.
Yeah, there's
she blew the circuits.
Yes.
No. I mean, that's exactly kind of what I was thinking. Like, if in looking at it from Voce's perspective, he seems like a straight shooter at the start. Like, no matter how he kind of got edited in the first episode as a complainer and a little bit naggy and, a little, neurosurgeon, made him say that a million times. I think that he would have been more of a straight shooter at any point in the game than Tiffany was, and he's stronger at challenges. And more importantly, Evie, he's a big ass shield right in front of you that people are going to start taking a shot at over you.
Sure.
Like, Evie can hide behind Voce, can hide behind Xander, and I think she mentioned in the episode that if she goes deep with two men, the men usually take the credit, which, we can't argue that in Survivor because it has happened in the past. But
Robert has a really good comment. What if Xander gets voted out before the idol gets found? Then would the other two advantages be? How does that work?
I'm sure they rehide it.
They'll rehide it, I guess. I don't know.
That's what I would assume.
But I don't know. I think Evie, I'm rooting for her. I think she's a really entertaining player. I think this episode she fell off the winners. Borda, if you guys follow Edgic, I think she plays too hard, too fast. I think she might even go home pre-merge.
I don't see pre-merge for her. I see her merge. I see her a downfall in the merge, for sure. I don't think she's set up to win the game.
No, it's not set up to win the game.
If she is, then she's literally like she's the orchestrator of the whole season. So if they're editing her this way, then she literally controls the game throughout the game. But I just don't think that's the case. Not with this
guy. That would be Chantel or Ricard.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. Yep. I love Chantel. So, all right, let's get into Tribal Council. And once again, let's talk about this. Jeff breaking the fourth wall. And, okay, the tribe's about to come in. And this is going to come down to a vote between tribe strength or alliance strength. Oh, here they are. Is he going to do this every time? Because it's so awful.
I'm fine with it.
No, it's so cringeworthy. Jeffrey, we just watched a 20-minute segment. We know what it is coming down to. We do not need you to do this. What the fuck is this? I absolutely hate it.
I agree. I don't know why they're doing it.
I'm fine. Anytime Jeff wants to talk to me, I'm listening. It makes me feel like I'm there, and that's always been my dream. So, Jeff, if you want to just cameo me, I'm not going to pay you or anything, but just call and talk sometime. I'm always listening if no one else wants to hear you.
I want to talk to Jeff, but I don't want Jeff to literally mansplain what just happened. So, no thanks.
And I think to your point, like Survivor has fans that have been there for 41 seasons now. I don't think Survivor's gaining new fans that don't know how the game works. I think
they might be a little bit because during the beginning they put Cagayan and Heroes vs. Villains on Netflix, so I do think we picked up
still like the people that got stuck and hooked because of Cagayan and Heroes Villains on Netflix probably understand the game and probably have rewatched a lot of the game. So I mean, I don't care. I really, guys, I don't.
But
care.
It's like the whole like kids thing that they're adding. I didn't look at it this week. I did the first one, but okay. But I think Jeff is really trying to gear a little bit of the show to a younger audience. He probably is talking to them to explain things to them because I don't know if when my kid, I don't know if when he was like 10 years old, if he would have really picked up on all the strategy and what was actually happening. He might have needed Jeff. Because I'm not talking to him during Survivor. I'm telling him, shut up. Jeff's talking right now.
All right, so let's talk about this Tribal Council. It is going to test alliance loyalty and tribe strength. So, Jeff basically is like, hey, Tiffany, everyone could see that you kind of suck today. So, like, how does that make you feel?
It's crazy. I mean, he does that too. Like he'll literally just call you out, be like, "Yeah, you were trash at the challenge today. You want to go ahead and talk about it?" Like there's no hiding, right? So if you perform so poorly, he'll call you out on it, and you're going to have to talk about it. So I'm sure she went to Tribal Council understanding that she was going to need to talk about her performance or lack thereof. She did to her best of ability that she could possibly do, given the circumstance. But again, logic doesn't say, there's no logic that says you should keep Penny in the game at this point in time. She's proven it for several reasons why. However, they keep her in the game. And it happens, guy. I mean, it happens. I'm part of a season where it happened with one of our tribe mates. Karishma shouldn't have been in the game, and we just kept her in. You just keep her in, right? It happens.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, this was a complete blindside for Voce. I mean, he did not see this coming. As a viewer, I did not see this coming. Like, I completely read the edit that they gave us, and that this is coming down to what has Evie decided for them to do. Like, are Evie and Liana going to vote out Tiffany, or are they going to vote out Xander? And so, I wasn't seeing that it was actually going to come to Voce.
Well, when they started giving David the floor to talk about how his mom inspired him to kind of work hard at things, and that's why he became a doctor. When they started doing all that stuff, I was like, oh shit, he is going home. That's when the writing was on the wall for me, when they were highlighting that at Tribal. I was like, damn it.
I think what Evie did was she talked to Xander and said it's Voce. He's going home.
Mm-hmm.
They went to Tribal Council united. Everybody knew exactly what was going on because I think Evie was savvy enough to realize I don't get rid of Xander. Xander gave me so much power in this game with the information he gave me. Why would you ever want to vote somebody out like that? I think Evie's a smart enough player. They just didn't show that. They didn't show that part of the edit. I'm assuming that she had a conversation with Xander basically saying it's Voce. He's going home. Potentially she might have dropped the bomb and been like, Tiffany wants you out, but that's not going to happen. And now Xander has that power, and maybe it's Evie and Xander with an alliance, right? That
with
we're not.
Liana, actually.
How early before Tribal do you think she dropped that on him? Do you think it was like right before, on the way?
Like early. I think early. I don't think right away, because there's like Xander knows that he has the idol, or the power to have the idol. Voce doesn't have it. I think that Evie told him early enough to basically, let him know, hey, look, you're good. Voce's going home.
See, if I'm Xander and that happens, I'm going to David and I'm going to be like, roll the dice.
Right.
Let it ride.
You open up. So I see that being a problem, because if I'm Xander and I do that, David now can go with Tribal Council and be like, Xander outed you, that you guys are voting me out. He can blow his game all the way.
Xander's gone.
And Xander's gone. Like, you literally just sealed your fate. Forget about it. You're out right there.
And Voce's a smart dude and a super fan.
So I don't know that if I was Xander, and I got that information, I don't know that I would have divulged that to him.
Mm-hmm.
I would have been like, all right, what am I going to say? I can't help you.
Yeah, like, it's not me. You kind of take a Xander approach there of like, oh,
Maybe
well, my
name's
not Voce, so sorry for your bad luck.
It's just bad luck, I think, that it was him. Obviously, Voce, no matter what, I would you guys all know me. Like, I have to root for him. He's one of us. He lives 2 hours, he trains 2 hours away in Vanderbilt, Nashville. I gotta root for my boy. But obviously a little bit more biased, but I can see how it's just pure bad luck. It had nothing to do with what he did.
Collateral damage. Somebody's got to go home, and he just didn't have strong enough bonds with anybody, right? That's what it boils down to. It's now social strength, right? Where are your social bonds? The person with the least amount of social bonds goes home in that situation, and that was Voce.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think he was being smart and pacing himself really well, and not planning to turn on the afterburners until a little deeper in the game. I think if he should have probably turned them on a little sooner. I think he waited a little too long. I think when you start with 6 people on your tribe, it forces you to play an end game right at the beginning. So you can't pace yourself like you normally would.
I think in a 6-person tribe is really tricky because you really don't have room. You don't have wiggle room in a 6-person tribe. Like, once your first person's gone, you need to farm a solid 3. I think Voce thought that his solid 3 was Evie and Xander. Which really ideally, once Abraham was probably a catalyst for why they changed their vote, that Abraham went home the first round, because Evie was like, yo, I got you guys. It's the 3 of us, and we'll take the other 2 out. So he was confident coming in round 2. I would have been too. Like, oh, I got my 3. I'm good. Solid Xander, he's my boy. And Evie, we think on the same level. We're both smart people. Now, I guess the only thing I really wanted to ask you guys is, and I'm obviously one of those, does Dr. Voce get perceived as someone being smarter, puts a little bit more of a target on his back because he introduced himself as a neurosurgeon?
I don't think
Whereas
so.
yesterday in Big Brother, Xavier hid the fact that he was an
Oh
attorney.
no, no
Everybody
one
knew-
believed that.
Everybody knew X was a lawyer. Big D pegged that shit like months
But like
ago.
he didn't say
So
it.
I don't think that it had anything to do with Voce's occupation. I think it had to do with the fact that Xander had built up better relationships than Voce had. And basically, Voce did not do the work that he needed to do. He was resting on the connections he made on day one, and that's what got him voted.
Robbie brought up a really good point about a weakness that Voce had, and Tiffany was somebody that went through a surgery that was really scary. And
Form an alliance with Tiffany.
yeah, if he would have tried to make a connection there, because he's got patients that probably are almost died. He's a neurosurgeon working on their brain, so he's probably easily could have related to Tiffany with that story, and then she might have not been so keen on like, hey,
Absolutely.
we need to do David.
I actually, that's exactly, Frank. I don't know why you read my mind, but when I saw Tiffany's story and she was on the Yasa Tribe, and if I was Voce, I like as a physician myself, I'd be like, oh my God, you have bilateral mastectomy. She has like 2 scars here, in the challenge. You can see that it's very obvious. She's not hiding it. Oh my God, let me learn your story, and that like forms that bond. I'm very different. I'm a pediatrician. Crazy moms are my specialty, Boche is really good at like the technical stuff, and I'm not technical at all. But like the connection and the social capital and Survivor is a lot more important, I think, than what he kind of came on. And then I think in his final words, he said, I have issues trusting people, but then I thought I just had my people here, Evie and Xander, who I really vibed with. Turns out I didn't, I feel for the guy. I think what's not really shown on Survivor, I know everyone has to give up like time in life and like vacation and whatnot, but it's extremely difficult to get time off as a neurosurgery, trainee or to get on Survivor.
I don't need to take time off. If Survivor calls, you can have my job.
I don't care that I went to medical school
I like
and
to have
thousands and thousands of dollars in debt. I need to go play Survivor.
Yeah, absolutely. That's I don't know, obviously can't comment on it, but like everyone has their own reasons to play. He's a super fan. He said in his pre-game interviews, he's like watched RHAP, like, and like knew kind of all the strategies, and it's his dream. And like, I'm very happy for him and a little bit jealous, that
I really think that there are people, it's not about the money. I grew up not having a lot. I do really well for myself now, but if I played Survivor, it wouldn't be about the money. The money would be a bonus.
For the money, for sure.
It's for the win.
The money.
It's 100% for the win.
How is it not for the money? Like when you have $1 million in front of you, yeah, it's for the money.
$1 million is nice. I can become Tyson, never work again, just do these podcasts for fun. But that's not why I'm there. If I'm trying to make money, I'll go make money. Money is easy to find if you look hard enough and you're savvy.
That's why you do sweat. Just go get the guarantee.
I'm going on Survivor to become an icon. Get my statue out there one day.
All right. So do y'all have any other thoughts about this episode? Like, what do y'all think is going to happen with the Yellow Tribe moving forward? Are we going to see them back this week?
Done.
Are we going to see them back in Tribal Council?
100%. I would bet money they're back at Tribal, regardless if it's 1 or 2 tribes going.
I'll put $20 they win.
Yeah, I don't think that they're going to be at Tribal. I think we're going to see someone else.
Make a $20 bet.
Oh, it's down to bet, and I'll definitely bet against Yellow right now.
Oh my God, you guys are hilarious.
Yeah. Huh? Oh, okay. No, because I my computer turned off. Well, at least I thought it did.
Oh, no worries. No, but I wanted to take this opportunity. I think we're done talking about the episodes, but Aaron and I played Live to Give in July. It's fans versus favorites versus famous. If you guys are watching and you'd like to follow us along, it's going to be at the Facebook page is Live to Give MN, and it's going to be on YouTube. I think the first episode is going to be on Sunday, so it's going to be fun. You guys can follow us along. Aaron, how was your experience? So Aaron, is amazing. Oh my god, amazing! First of all, what I learned about this guy is he's really intense with challenges. Like I'm like, dude, are you this intense on? Remember asking you? I'm like, are you this intense on Survivor? He's like, yes.
Did he try to drown someone too in a challenge? I
He
got
tried to
pegged
drown
as a
some-
villain because I tried to capsize someone's
So real
canoe because we were behind. So
the 8-day game he in real footage in the sea that Frank played in, he
A little
tried to
intense.
drown someone. But anyway, and yeah, like Aaron's amazing in cornhole. Holy shit, I've never seen him in the Dragon Slayer.
I love competing. Shocking, right? You couldn't tell that from my season of Survivor. I love competing. I just get it. It's a high out of it, right? Like 3, 2, 1, go. Whatever it is, we could be playing rock paper scissors, and I'm gonna love it. I'm gonna play it as intense as possible. But yeah, having an opportunity to go to Minnesota to play for charities, because we each got to select a charity to play for. So we're not playing to win, bring home money. We're playing to bring home money for our charity. So it brings a different level to the game in terms of the stakes that we're playing for. But it was an awesome opportunity to play with some Big Brother player, Amazing Race, Elaine from my season played with Stan, a bunch of people had played Live to Give before, and then some fans of the show. So it was a great experience. I think you said Sunday is the first episode.
Sunday, yeah. Sunday.
Tune in Sunday on YouTube. You can check it out and see how we do.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun.
Cool.
We had a really good time.
Absolutely.
Before I plug my stuff, did you guys see the next week on Survivor, the little hut they showed? What the hell do you think that is?
No idea.
Where's that? Where's that hut at?
On the
Where did they have
preview.
You
it?
didn't? Yeah,
And
Well,
I
saw it,
saw
but, like-
a little hut at the end. Yeah.
Like, what is that hut?
Don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm
That would
thinking
be
we
nice.
might get some castaways from separate tribes, maybe an overnight summit.
That'd be
We
phenomenal.
might see.
Man, they're lucky if they get that. That'd be cool.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. All right,
But
Frank.
as far as what I got going on at the end of the month, we got another game night. So come to that. It's a lot of fun. I wasn't able to come to the last one, but I should definitely be at this one coming up. October 8th, Mayhem Manor. Tune in. I'm gonna go against. There's 46 people in this cast, so 45 other players. Me and DeLucas, who recaps the challenge with us, are both going to be there. It's going to be wild. I don't know how they're going to get through 46 players in 3 days, but there's going to be Marlon from the challenge there. I think Ronnie from season 11, Big Brother, is going to be there. So I'm going to beat them all. So tune into that.
It's a crazy. It's a challenge. It's like the challenge, right? Like
Yes, it's like the challenge. So we don't know the format. It could be 2 teams. It could be duos. There's a lot of rookies this season, so speculation is it might be like a fresh meat season where the vets pick a new player to be a duo. There's actually a draft, I think, happening tonight. So hopefully I was ranked high in that draft.
Yeah, so I follow that page, and I swear, like, every day they're dropping a new person. I'm like, how many
It's
people
given
are
me
playing this?
anxiety. On RealFoot, I had 9 people on my tribe, and I wrote down the wrong name on the parchment that wasn't
Yes, you
even
did.
there. So I can't imagine. I'm trying to keep track of all these names. I'm actually having anxiety over it.
Just lay low, Frank.
All right.
Super low.
So Frank just also recorded an episode with Denny, Robbie, and Kevin where they did a retrospective talking a little bit about Voce's game, maybe more about Evie's. But anyways, we will have that every week. So starting next week, we will be live Wednesday, 15-30 minutes after the episode, just depending on when we get our shit together. And then the retrospective will be on Thursday nights. So make sure that you check that out. We will also be live Saturday to recap the latest episode of the challenge. Is there anything else, y'all?
Well, thank you,
Aaron,
guys.
where can people find you if you want them to find you?
Yeah. Oh, if anybody needs life insurance, Aaron,
Yeah. I mean, if you
hit him up.
absolutely hit me up.
Never know when you're going to bite the bullet. So might as well think about your family and
Yeah,
Insurance up.
Shoot me a DM or Facebook. Aaron Meredith is easy, simple to find me. You type me in, I'll probably pop up there. So I'm not a big social media guy.
All right, and you can follow us on Instagram and Twitter. This is mine and Trisha's at RealiTEA_TK. And you can also follow For the Fans. We're trying to get better, y'all. At For the Fans E on Instagram and Twitter. And you can also follow us on Facebook, which is definitely the best way to find us because our Facebook page is popping. So make sure you check us out there. And we will be back next Wednesday to talk about the latest episode of Survivor. And thank you all for joining in. Make sure you hit the subscribe button, drop us a comment, let us know your thoughts about last night's episode and everything that's happening on Survivor. We'll see you next time, guys. Bye.